In this video, I contemplate life. Return to my nemesis car at the legendary Daytona road course. And I try to learn the longest track in the world. Apologies again for the long hiatus. There's been some major changes in my life that's been giving me a lot of stress and uncertainty, which really kills the creative process. On top of that, I've been practicing for a while now with zero perceivable progress. It's made me question whether I'm capable of improving or if this is as far as I'm going to get in my sim racing journey. It felt like I was bashing my head against the wall and getting nowhere. I feel like I've been on iRacing long enough to graduate from the free rookie cars and start expanding my skill set into the faster classes. I've been on the platform for over 6 months, but when I look at my stats, I have way less seat time compared to my friends who started around the same time, or even after me. At first, it was a scheduling issue, trying to fit a new hobby into an already full routine. But lately, I think I've been losing motivation. Setting up the sim rig started to feel like a chore. I found myself making excuses, questioning whether it was even worth setting everything up if I only had 2 hours to spare. Especially when I didn't have any practice with the car track combo, 2 hours never felt like enough time to get race ready. I wasted so much time just staring at the race schedule, debating which car and track combos were worth grinding, instead of just jumping in and logging seat time. But out of sheer stubbornness and an unwillingness to accept that I might just be mediocre, I kept going. I had a small breakthrough when I started to notice how coarse my throttle inputs were. My foot was basically always at 0, half, or full throttle. That worked fine in the Mazda, which only has 181 horsepower, but with 510 horsepower and no traction control, that bad habit had to die before I could tame this prancing pony. Another encouraging realization was that I'll eventually learn more tracks, which will reduce my practice time. Right now, I only know a handful, and while iRacing has over 140 tracks, I really only need to learn maybe 40 of the most used ones to cover a few different series I want to run. The luck of the draw this week was Daytona. It showed up on the Porsche Cup schedule, and we also decided to run it for the community race. Being one of the most used tracks, it felt like the perfect time for me to commit to learn the track and the Cup car. It started out as well as you would expect from me. Terribly. Turn 1 is a max speed into a decreasing radius second gear corner where most braking is done during corner entry. That's terrifying if you're a Porsche Cup novice who prefers straight line braking. This first corner took a while for me to unpack. I chose to brake earlier and trail off gently into the corner. Keeping brake pressure under 10% during cornering helped shift weight forward for steering grip. More than that, the car would spin. I do less of that now, but still not enough to be competitive in this series. Speaking of weight transfer, Terry gave me some great advice. Always brake just a little while cornering. The Cup car has less weight over the front tires, so that forward shift helps with traction. He also emphasized adjusting brake bias, something I never had to mess with in other cars. But in the Porsche Cup, it's critical. I mapped a dial to my wheel just for this, and always adjust the bias 2 clicks back from 4.5 to 5 at the start of the race, and eventually end up at 6 near the end of the race. Since the 911 is rear-engined and the fuel tank is in the front, its balance is extremely fuel dependent. After I learned to get around turn 1, I kept struggling with the infield, the 2 horseshoe corners, and turn 6. I have a hard time trailing off the brakes without spinning. Plus, on my single monitor setup, I can't always see the apex. I either get on the throttle too late and lose time, or too early and end up mowing the grass. Around this time, there were talks about running GT3s at Daytona for the community race. We'd never used paid content before, but enough people begged Kez that he eventually caved. That gave me the idea to try the Porsche 911 GT3R as a training tool for the Cup car. Terry said the two drive similarly, except the GT3 has traction control, ABS, and a bit more power. It still wants you to trail brake everywhere, but the electronic safety nets give you room to make mistakes. It also has more downforce, so it's easier to handle at high speed. It was a perfect low-stakes training opportunity. The community race had its moments. I ran out of fuel right before the finish line. Classic. I also got black flags that ruined some fun battles, but I still got good practice with the training wheels on. If I didn't have to pit to serve the penalty, I probably would have had enough fuel. Oops. Outside the Porsche Cup car, there was another big challenge I've been putting off: learning the Nürburgring. I finally forced myself to tackle it by signing up for the Nürburgring Endurance Championship, solo. It's a 4-hour race on the VLN layout where you're allowed to drive alone. I was hoping to be put in the same split with some friends who also signed up, but no luck there. I only got 1.5 hours of practice before the race and had to run with the racing line turned on. I wish I would have had more practice to memorize braking points because the racing line became a crutch. As I got more tired, I tunnel visioned on the line instead of learning the track. Also, I didn't realize the race started immediately after the 30-minute qualifying session. I started a 4-hour race with a full bladder. I was messing with my livery and didn't go to the bathroom. Damn. It's gonna be a long stint.
You got 4 hours now.
I was hoping for a crash just to take a break, and got one pretty quickly. Passing here is brutal. If the car in front doesn't want to let you through, it's really hard to find a way around without risk. Twice I got stuck and crashed trying to force it. I went in with zero expectations. It was purely a learning experience. I crashed like 6 times and spent a ton of time in the pits. No meatballs, surprisingly. Maybe iRacing knows how punishing the Nordschleife is. Honestly, all that pit time was a blessing. I took all the bathroom breaks I needed. I finished 24th out of 56 with 52 incident points, and crossed the line while serving a drive-through penalty. Still somehow gained safety rating. Honestly, better than I expected. My only real disappointment was relying on the racing line. I didn't learn the track as much as I hoped, but I've come too far to stop here. I'll be back in the rig, chasing progress, one lap at a time. Oh boy.